Good evening, Brookview students. It's Mr. Tom here. I'm out here in our shop this evening, and tonight we're going to seed some microgreens. This is a flat of microgreens, right? They are very small lettuces that we eat when they're just a couple of inches tall. And you can see where we've already cut one batch out of these that Miss Colleen and I used for our salad tonight at dinner. And then probably 2 nights from now, we'll cut away another chunk and we'll keep working across the flat. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to get my tray. This is a tray that we've used before, but it'll work fine for what we're doing. And you could do this with any kind of a small dish at home. And I'm going to take some of our potting soil mix. I'll bring it up close so you can get a look at it, right? And potting soil is really not true soil. It's not dirt that comes out of the ground, right? It is a mixture of shredded bark and peat moss, and in this case the little white stuff that's in there is perlite, all right, which helps to make the mix light. But this stuff holds water better than a true soil mix does, right? And so we like to use this to start our seedlings in. So I'm just going to level it all out nice and even. All right, and then I'm going to water it before I put my seeds in. Now I'm just going to use this little board and I'm going to drag it across the soil to get it nice and flat. I'm not pressing down very hard, I'm just trying to smooth things out. All right, and then I'm going to use this block. This is a block that I put a handle on, and I'm going to use it to press my soil down. So I don't want a lot of air spaces in there. I want nice firm soil that the seeds can bind against. And before I put the seeds in, I'm going to put a little bit of water on here, right? Because I don't want to wash the new seeds out. All right, so I want the soil moist before I put the mixture in. Okay, so now the soil's been moistened, right? If I was to take the block and press it on here now, all the soil would stick to the block. So I don't want to do that. All right, now I'm going to take my seeds, all right, and there are probably 100,000 seeds in here. They are a very small seed. All right, I'm going to sprinkle some of them out onto this folded piece of paper. Close my seed pack back up. I'm going to bring this up close so you can see these seeds. All right, they're pretty small. All right, but those are different types of lettuce seeds. All right, and now it's my job to very carefully sprinkle these out onto the flat. Right, and so the piece of paper gives me a lot more control, so I can sprinkle them neatly on the surface. I just go back and forth across the flat. They don't have to be real even, but I want to make sure that I have some seeds in every little spot on the flat. Okay, I'm almost done. This goes pretty quick. Oops, a little bit of a thick spot there. All right, so I'm good. Now I'm going to take the extra seed and I'll just put it back inside the package. All right, I don't like to put these on my hand because my hands could be wet, and that is not a good way to take care of seeds. You need to keep your seeds nice and dry. So I'm going to keep them well away from the water. All right, now I've got seeds all over this, so I need to cover these seeds with something that will just hold the moisture in. And I can use a little bit of my potting soil. All right, it's a pretty big seed, and so I can just kind of sprinkle some on top of it. This is something that you could do at home. You can get different types of potting soil, you know, with big chunks and little chunks. This stuff has pretty big chunks. All right, so what I like to use is a product called vermiculite. All right, this is vermiculite. All right, it's a very light material. All right, it's actually volcanic. It comes from a product called mica, which is mined out of the ground. And they break it into little pieces and they pop it like popcorn, right? And it makes this super light material, so the seeds don't have to work hard to push through it. And we sprinkle it over the top, and I'm just using a flower pot that has little holes in it, sort of, and I'm using it kind of like a salt shaker with holes in the bottom of it. All right? Then I'll cap it up and put it back in my barrel again. Now I'm going to press again. My block is dry, the vermiculite is dry, right? And so I'm just going to go in and I'm going to press the vermiculite down in to the soil mix. Right, now it's all held in place. Right, I've already watered the flat, so I don't need to water it again. The water that was on there will come up through the vermiculite and provide all the water that we need. Now, one of the most important things is that I record what I did. So I'm going to use the marker and I'm going to write on this tag what I put in there. And this was called 5-star lettuce mix. And I'm going to put a date on here as well. Okay, and so just a simple tag with just the basics of what's on there. It says what it is and it says what date I planted it in there. And I'm going to put my initials on there too. Sometimes Miss Colleen does them, sometimes I do them, but it's good to know who is in charge of it. All right, and then I'm going to take that tag and I'm going to put it right into the flat. And that can get wet, it won't hurt it at all. The seeds are all in place. I've put my vermiculite on. It's already been watered ahead of time. I put a tag in there. I need to keep the seeds humid. I need to keep them wet. And so I'm going to put a dome over the top of them because I don't want to be sprinkling them every couple of days. I want them to stay nice and moist. Sometimes we just put a piece of cardboard or some plastic wrap on top of it and that works just as well. All right, so here was our original flat that we started with. All right, doesn't that look delicious? All right, I'm going to test them just to make sure they're okay. Nice and tender. I really like them a lot. Oh, I got a little bit of soil on that one, but that's okay. All right, so here is another flat that has been cut. This one has already been completely cut. All right, you can see they've all been chopped off already, and we took some of it out of there as well that we broke into pieces and we put into pots to grow into bigger heads of lettuce. This will grow back. We can usually get 2, sometimes 3 cuttings out of each of our flats. Then I'm going to take my flat with the lettuce in it and I'm going to put it over here on our heating mats. These are heating mats to help keep things warm. Plants germinate better when they're warm. All right. Then I'll put my lettuces back out. I'm going to put my seeds away. I'm going to clean up my mess a little bit. I just keep a broom here just to sweep the excess material away. All right, we have this wonderful dustpan in the shop. All right, great big dustpan, it works pretty good. Put it back in there. All right, I've now cleaned up my mess. I've planted my lettuce. Now all I need is to wait about 3 weeks and make a great big salad with my dinner. Okay guys, this is Mr. Tom. I hope you've enjoyed our little lettuce video.